Baltimore's always been a hotbed. You're almost born with a lacrosse stick in your hand. You go into your high school scene where the MIAA may be the best conference top to bottom, game to game in the nation with schools like Boys Latin.
Boys Latin is a perennial lacrosse powerhouse in the MIAA. The school has a history of producing top-tier lacrosse players in the Baltimore area.
The game plan all year long was you stop Shaq Stanwix, you have a pretty good chance of stopping Boys Latin. No one was able to stop Shaq Stanwix.
In 2013, Shaq helped lead the team to a 16-0 record, but they failed to secure the championship.
He has a tremendous skill set, but I think the thing that really stands out for me is what a great job he does allowing the game to come to him and making everybody around him better by doing that.
In 2014, things would be different. Shaq led Boys Latin to an incredible 18-0 record. Capping the season off with an MIAA Championship victory over St. Paul's.
He not only showed why he's the #1 recruit from a talent and performance standpoint, but also think a leadership standpoint. That was his team this year. For them to come out on top undefeated and him to be the best player hands down in the area, maybe in the country, I think speaks to his prowess.
When they were young, we would play catch. And eventually it was like, you know, I can only catch so many balls. I've got stuff to do. I've got to cut the grass, you know, but maybe you might want to start throwing against the wall.
The wall was first introduced by Mr. Stanwix to allow his children to hone their skills and practice rain or shine.
He just came out here, he measured out 6 by 6, painted it on. It's uneven a little bit, so it'll give you some bad passes and help us all work on catching it in awkward places, some stuff that you're going to do in games. You know, the more you practice, the more comfortable you're going to feel with your stick. And the more comfortable you feel with your stick, the better you're going to be. When you're out on the field, you're trying to make those quick decisions. You don't have to worry about what you're going to do with your stick because your mind already makes that up before you even do it. It's so important to have 2 hands in lacrosse. I'm a lefty, so I do 2 times the amount of righties that I do lefties. That's kind of just so I can get that right hand as good as my left hand.
The beauty of this thing was that you can play any time of the year. And it just got the kids out of the house, got them some exercise, and improved their skills.
I would time dinner around him, you know, and he would say, well, now I need 30 minutes, I'm going out to the wall. And I would be ready to serve, and I'd say, well, you're going out to the wall. I reheat more than I cook, so.
Probably around like 5th or 6th grade, instead of watching TV, I got out here. It was kind of like something to clear my head a little bit. At the same time, you're getting better, and you're just doing it because you love the game.
It's my dad. He's got that kind of brain that knows what it takes to be good at something. He thought you need to practice the way you play. And then the repetition has been huge, I think, in terms of getting everyone's hand-eye coordination. It stemmed from him. Obviously, he can't make you do the workout, so everyone else had the drive to get out there and play.
With the Stanwix family, it's unbelievable the level at which they play and the consistency from one child to the next. You know, it starts with Sheehan, the All-American at Georgetown, one of the best ever. Now you're talking about Shaq, and the potential that he has could really make an impact at Johns Hopkins University. And then you take the 6 in between, and they're just as good as, if not better, than the 2 bookends. The Stanwix wall in the garage has become legendary. That's where the kids get their start. That's where the groundwork's put in, putting in the hard work against the wall, developing a right hand, developing a left hand, quick releases, accuracy, pinpoint passing, those kinds of things. This kind of goes back to being old school. Look at the sticks that the boys use, traditional pocket. I don't think the traditional has been in vogue now for the last 10, 12 years. You know, it's really an old school feel to the way they go about their business and the way they play the game.
For the Stanwix, lacrosse is a family passion. All 7 of Shaq's siblings have played Division I collegiate lacrosse and have earned an array of accolades in recognition of their amazing talent.
It's more challenging today to step on a field and have an impact. What goes into becoming a great player today is different. Talked about Shaq, and I've been watching him for years, not in organized lacrosse, but out on our field.
I want to be as good as I can be. On those days where it's like rainy or crappy weather, I try and get out there, go shoot, probably hit the wall. Right now, for this summer, I want to become a lot stronger. I'm going to be going against guys that are going to be a lot taller, bigger, faster, stronger than me. Continue to work on important stuff in my game, stick skills, shooting, stuff like that to work on the whole summer, so a lot ahead of me.
The level of work ethic that a young man has to have, I think some are surprised when they get to Division I level. He's just had an outstanding career, and we certainly are excited to welcome what we think is a great kid, a hard worker, and a skill set that will certainly help our program.
If he works the way he's worked throughout his high school career and he stays on track, he could be the next great Hopkins attackman.
University for the MIAA Conference Championship game. The FCA Lacrosse Game of the Week has reached its conclusion, and the stands are filling. It's number 1 against number 2 Calvert Hall taking on St. Mary's. Greetings and salutations, one and all. Welcome inside United Stadium. I'm Booker Corrigan alongside longtime BL head coach Bob Shriver. Semifinals Tuesday night, always a great night. What'd you learn?
Well, we learned that the 2 best teams that have been there the whole year showed their mettle the other night, and they're playing in the championship game, which is probably the fair way to end the season.
Certainly is. Let's take a look at the brackets and see how we arrived at this point.
BL beat McDonough in a really good game last Friday in the quarterfinals to get into the semis. St. Paul's was winning the game the whole time, and Loyola came right at the end and nipped them in the bud to get the right to play Calvert Hall. St. Mary's and BL, Calvert Hall and Loyola faced off Tuesday night.
Great playoff matchups, and again, it's always an honor for any team to make it. Let's look at the highlights first. Calvert Hall over to Loyola.
Josh Weber, the speed merchant, second midi for Calvert Hall. This is Jack Corus, Loyola's dynamic junior attackman, scored one of his goals. One of the Mitchells, that was Connor, number 12. There's Corus again with his second goal. They didn't have too many in this game, and then Calvert Hall gets rolling. Daniel Kelly on extra man. Here's Mitchell off a little break. Here comes another break. Truett Sunderland all alone in front of the goalie. Not a fair fight, and this is a beautiful shot by Daniel Kelly. X marks the spot. He likes it right there. He scored a lot of goals from that area. Here comes another one. Instead of going high with this one, he shoots it off the goalie's hip with a beautiful shot. He had 5 goals on the game. This is just a replay of it and a little bit of a slow motion to feed into the statistics on this game, and the statistics in every conceivable category favor Calvert Hall.
They really do find a way to dominate, and you see the one stat that jumped at me, Bob, the clears. Loyola was only 10 of 19. That's not so much bad clearing by Loyola. That's a pretty good ride by Calvert Hall. They're known for it.
Calvert Hall feeds off riding. We'll see that a lot tonight. It's going to be an important part of the game this evening.
Let's look at the BL St. Mary's. BL got started early.
BL got off to a good start. They scored the first 2 goals of the game, but this is the second goal. Cam Spencer off a nice inside move, and then face-off man Dudley, Zach Dudley feeds it to Ian Crumph, gets them rolling. Here's a ball that actually was shot coming right out of the sun. I think the BL goalie missed it, but here's Nick Lilly scoring one of his 4 tallies on the day. He gets credit for one. This is another beautiful goal by Kevin Davis, BL long pole, and then the Saints get rolling. Lilly with another one. Lilly with another one.
And another one.
He got it rolling, and there's the Saints celebrating a great 11-5 win.
And they get a shot at Calvert Hall later tonight, but there's the shot advantage for St. Mary's. BL was 17 for 17 on clears. That speaks to a lot of aspects of the sport of lacrosse and how fun it is.
Well, one issue with St. Mary's is they actually run their offensive middies off the field because they want to get their superb defensive middies onto the field. So it's very easy to clear against them. You just throw it away from the box and you can usually get out.
Now, it is the championship game tonight. You do it great every time. Who are our players to watch for St. Mary's first?
Number 13, junior short stick defensive midi, Alex Wicks, headed to the University of Maryland. The kid's sensational. He had 7 or 8 ground balls the other night against Boys Latin and dominated the middle of the field with his tremendous speed. Number 40, BJ Burrell, senior long stick midi, defensive midi for the Saints, headed to Yale University. He's clearly, if not the best at the position in the entire league. He's a terrific player, and between he and Wicks, they influence the game.
And you picked 2 defensive guys for St. Mary's because Calvert Hall has so much offense. Who do you like for the Cardinals?
Well, I'm going to go with the Mitchell twins. Number 10, Grant Mitchell, big, strapping, strong guy. He's been really terrific this year. His brother Connor, number 12, has really come on as the season has progressed. He was hurt a little bit early, but those 2 guys moved here from Georgia 3 years ago, and they've tasted nothing but MIAA championships.
They certainly have. Wait till you see what we have on the other side of the break, and then we're coming back with Face Off. On Saturday, June 1st, the Baltimore 10-miler will be live on WMAR2 News. It is always the region's best 10-mile race that starts and finishes right at the Maryland Zoo in Baltimore. We're known for fantastic premiums, a runner-friendly course, and that zany finish line beach party featuring a Jimmy Buffett band. The B10 is an exciting and fun 10-mile race that will be the highlight of your 2019. You're going to be proud of what you can accomplish. Go to baltimore10miler.com and register today.
Summer's here, and with a great deal on a new Toyota, you can do all the things that make the season so much fun. Like go biking, Mother's Day, glamping, graduations, music festivals, motocross, zip lining!
Now lease an all-new RAV4 for just $199 a month. Or buy one with $1,250 Toyota Finance Cash. Or pick a versatile CHR with $1,500 cash back.
Your summer starts here.
Toyota, let's go places.
The Fellowship of Christian Athletes engages their coaches and athletes to grow their faith through sport. Make sure you investigate the amazing camp at Lebanon Valley College this July. The FCA has camps, clinics, huddles, teams. Learn more about the Fellowship of Christian Athletes by going to fcalax.com.
It's time to go. Toyota, with the best resale value of any brand, again for the 3rd year in a row. Because when it comes to holding value, nobody does it better than Toyota. In fact, Toyota has 3 of the top 10 ranked by KBB.com for 2019, including Tacoma at number 1. So whether you're searching for America's favorite car, SUV, or adventure-ready truck, this is where you want to shop. Go reliable, go Toyota, and let's go places.
There's a shot of Calvert Hall, the number 1 team in the state, Bob. Maybe the Mid-Atlantic, maybe the entire East Coast, maybe east of the Mississippi, maybe the entire country. Calvert Hall Cardinals taking on the St. Mary's Saints in the MIAA Conference Championship game. Booker Corrigan, Bob Shriver bringing it to you. We'll bring Dan Aburn in from Inside Lacrosse in a moment. Bob, what does St. Mary's need to do to find a way to slay the dragon that is Calvert Hall?
Play great defense, win the middle of the field if possible, and be as efficient as they've shown so far offensively.
Set for the draw, it'll be Catone against Dudley. Calvert Hall has shown that ability, as we see goaltender Schmidt for St. Mary's. Calvert Hall has shown that ability to bring 2 or 3 face-off guys out there. That could be a tactic in the game. Let's go down to the sideline and talk with Dan Aburn. Dan, what is the vibe down there tonight?
And we couldn't have asked for a more perfect night. About 70 degrees, a little bit of sun. That might come in as a factor in this fourth quarter. I mean, in this first quarter. But it's a beautiful night, and the crowds are going wild early. So
the student sections are packing it as St. Mary's gets the first real possession. Taminovich crossfield pass. That is the younger of the Burlace boys, young Colin Burlace. And Alex Wicks, a man you highlighted, Bob. And they're the St. Mary's Saints in their royal blue. Calvert Hall home whites as they're the higher seed. And here's Scout Ripley just cradling a conference title game. Gabe Souza turns and gets it back. And this is Dunleavy. Back to Souza. Cole Herbert, number 1 for Calvert Hall, playing defense on Souza. Pounce off Ian Cramp, and he goes for the scoop, misses. Some nerves, Bob?
No, I don't think nerves. I do think right away one thing we're seeing St. Mary's, I think, will be intent to do is to try to control the ball a little bit on offense. They did that the other night against Boys Latin to great effect. The problem is, as long as you stay within shouting range, if you will, of the Cardinals, you just can't get behind by 3 or 4 goals and play that way. As long as they're close, they can play that way on offense and actually maybe just make Calvert Hall a little anxious because they're so used to filling up the goal regularly.
This is Mitchell.
What a matchup. Mitchell against Burlace.
Shot, goal! Great Abe Lincoln's mullet. Calvert Hall's off to a start. Daniel Kelly from the wing.
Well, the one thing you never want to do, honestly, Booker, is give Daniel Kelly a shot from here. He's deadly. We said the other night he's probably taken about 20,000 of these in his lifetime from that spot. He's terrific. He can shoot it low. He can shoot it high. That time he drops his stick, shoots low, and keeps the, puts his stick on the ground, but shoots low and beats Schmidt to the far post. Great start for Calvert Hall. They're 2 stars offensively, Grant Mitchell to Daniel Kelly. Of course, it's probably not easy to say they're 2 stars offensively. They got about 20 of them.
Grant Mitchell and Jack Sawyer already named to that Under Armour All-American Senior game. As now the Cardinals come back in. Wes Schmidt, first save of the night for Schmitty. And we get a crease violation. It's going to be a St. Mary's ball. Alex Hicks doing things that Alex Hicks does. Wicks. As Bob's banging me on the arm. Sorry about that, Bob. I know you're a stickler for proper name pronunciation.
No, I struggle with proper name pronunciation.
Excuse us having
Very
some
badly.
fun. Yeah, but it's our last night together for a while, Bob. So I'm going to enjoy every moment of it. Saints back on offense. This is Ian Cramp up top. Now it's Scout Ripley, 17 for the Saints. Behind to Souza on the invert. Souza takes a little jam. Nielsen up top to Ripley. Now it's Dunleavy. Wants the roll back. Good defense.
Well, they got to force a slide. Calvert Hall will slide, but they have to force it. If you're just not being too aggressive to the goal, Calvert Hall's very comfortable with that. But if you force them to slide, they will come and rotate to you so you can be effective offensively if you're willing to spin the ball pretty quickly.
Nielsen tracks down the loose ball. Now it's across the top back with Dunleavy, who took the shot. Fresh shot clock for the Saints. Dive shot. Dunleavy has it stuffed. Jackson Marshall, goaltender for Calvert Hall, has played admirably, and now it's Snyder.
Really nice defense by Calvert Hall, number 21, short stick defensive midi, Harrison Ewing. They just keep running at you. They'll play a number of short stick defensive middies, a number of poles. This is Sean Barwick, one of their best players. They're off size, however. Don't want to make those kind of mistakes.
Nice play by Ripley, shot over the cage.
That's Calvert Hall lacrosse right there.
Yes.
They see a mistake and they capitalize very quickly. Saints got a really nice opportunity there. They just didn't finish the deal.
Credit the great Aiden Fritz with the timely stick check. Number 16 for Calvert Hall comes out, pressures the ball, and now Ripley for St. Mary's.
This is Hockenberry, who always inverts Booker.
Hockenberry, number 4 for St. Mary's, drives left side, shot early. Marshall save tidy.
One more step Hockenberry could have taken there and improved his angle. He had some space.
Kilcoyne gathers, had some pressure on him, but Ryan Kilcoyne knows how to handle pressure. And now it's Harrison Ewing. Little pressure. And Calvert Hall now winning a little bit in the sub game. Shot just over the cage. That Colin Stewart.
Gavin Ridgway with a nice trail check for the Saints.
Here's Saucy Jack Sawyer, already named that Under Armour All-American Senior game. He and Grant Mitchell for Calvert Hall. Saved by Schmidt.
Here's the guy they want with the ball clearing it, and he does have it. He can pretty much single-handedly break down any clear because of his speed. Wicks.
And Calvert Hall is coming at him with some tenacity. Wicks reminding a lot of people of a young Tom Dwyer who starred for St. Mary's back in the day with Big Mo T, Tony Morgan. Ball teammates of Coach Vic Lilly. As Hockenberry rolls back lefty feed, it goes a little uncaught.
Good
We get
play
that over
by
and
Sawyer.
Yep.
Just shielded off that defenseman, didn't let him get his stick across the midline to try to keep that ball on his side. Great save.
Great save by
Terrific
Schmidt.
save.
Tominovic picks up the loose change. And Colin Burlace, the younger of the two.
He's a big kid, Colin Burlace. He's bigger than his older brother,
Yes,
I
he
think.
is.
And they're
not as big as his dad. There's Calvert Hall wreaking some havoc.
Dunleavy didn't realize he's getting pressured, made a bad play.
And here's
Good
Cole
check.
Herbert.
Connor Mitchell, nice check. As you said a second ago, Calvert Hall, you don't have the ball cleared or in your offensive end until it's literally in that last quarter of the field and you get a chance to take a deep breath because they will chase you till you do so.
Until you get it behind their goal, they're coming at you. Cole Herbert, number 1 for Calvert Hall. Shoulder in, shot, goal! Hooper drives the boat, Chief. That was a rip.
Big, strong, just like the two Mitchell boys. Herbert's the third member of that triumvirate. What a shot, running down the hash marks, drops his hands and sticks that ball in the far corner. I don't want to say he overpowered Schmidt there, but that ball had an incredibly large amount of heat on it.
Heck of a shot.
You have a great angle on that one, Dan, didn't you?
It was real pretty. I think the Calvert Hall bench really enjoyed that one.
Well, you failed to get, they had the ball, Saints had the ball on offense. Mitchell makes a nice check because Dunleavy wasn't paying attention. Ball's on the ground. All of a sudden, the Cardinals get their first midfield in and they put the ball in the back of the cage.
Great ground ball pickup by Josh Weber. Kid's got speed for days. Now it's Daniel Kelly. Kelly guarded by Ridgway. Ridgway committed to York.
And here comes the Cardinals right back with their first group. Long, Grant Mitchell and Herbert.
Whew. Jeez. If, in case you were looking for what that was, it was a white blur. That ball had a vapor trail behind it. Saucy Jack Sawyer on Tominovic.
Tominovic is a really good cover defenseman, number 3. It looked like Sawyer had a step there. Tominovic recovered.
Here's Herbert. Gets 5 steps. Low to high! Grant Mitchell. Are you feeling it, Evil? 3-0 Hall.
Booker, we've seen this routine before. Herbert was always willing to pass the ball. What a terrific pass back to Mitchell, stepping down from 12.
Bob, we talked at the break at Cole Herbert's ability to pass. Here's State's Exhibit A.
Well, when you're driving that hard to the goal and have the presence of mind to stop and actually throw it back, that's pretty impressive for a midi. And we've seen Herbert just bang one a second ago before that, and then he dished one off to Mitchell for his first goal. And what the Saints do not want is for them to make another 2 or 3 goal run. Yep. And honestly, the game will be over. I hate to say that this early in the game, but it's going to be very hard for the Saints to make a comeback getting down 5 or 6 to nothing.
And
they
Bob,
can do it, but it's going to be extremely difficult.
Bob, to speak to your point, it sounds like goalie Wes Schmidt's having a little bit of difficulty staring into that field with the sun in his eyes. I don't think he had a track on that last shot at all.
Yeah, I was coming right out of the sun. We saw that the other night, didn't we, Dan?
Mm-hmm.
St. Mary's scored a goal in a similar situation. That ball came right out of Mitchell's stick with the sun right behind him.
This is Weber. Slip move on Wicks. You don't see that often, man. Mark down the date. May 17th. Sawyer near corner. And he gets a step. Slip, nice save, Schmidt.
Got a flag down. I never saw the penalty.
And the
penalty was all the way down here. They fouled him 70 yards from the goal. There must have been a foul in the clear off that face-off, Booker. We didn't miss it. It was a slash by number 14.
Aiden Fritz came off the wing on the face-off and made a fantastic play. And there was a slash on the Saints. Bob, you like the way these guys roll off one another in this man up for Calvert Hall?
Great movement. Look at all the ball movement and body movement. They've rolled a lot of guys around. Now they're in this 2-4 set. 2 guys behind the goal and 4 guys in front of the goal working in pairs.
And a crease violation on man up. That's a bit of a faux pas.
Well, that's a big break for the Saints. Mitchell was open. It was a bad pass by Sawyer. The 2-4 worked the other night against Loyola. They scored a goal on that extra man situation.
St. Mary's gets the clear for the time being, and that is going to be a push on them. Calvert Hall manager extraordinaire Scotty McShane's probably not impressed by that. Great crew of support as we see.
Well, Mitchell was maybe a little frustrated. He fell in the crease down at the other end. Wicks is just, Wicks gets his legs moving, and he's a tough guy. He clearly hit him in the back. The only positive for Calvert Hall on that penalty is there's still 28 seconds on the St. Mary's penalty, 30 seconds on this one, so St. Mary's will have a man advantage for 2 seconds.
And statistically, it'll go down as an 0 for 1 on man unless they score during those 2 seconds. So,
well,
yeah.
Truthfully, they ought to play offense here. 5-on-5 offense is a lot better because there's more space. Slides are longer.
And Kilcoyne does slide. Ian Craft draws it. Here's Souza. Souza gets to the middle. Kai Sasaki on him. Now it's behind. Ian Craft. Shot that time by Gardner.
Here's their 1 second extra man. They've got a guy coming out of the box, but it's big Nick Lilly going right to the crease.
And now we have a procedural violation. Little chin strap issue.
Yeah, Sasaki took that shot right up in the face mask, so the referees, either he had a equipment malfunction, his face mask might have popped a little bit.
Shot of head coach Brian Kelly on the verge of history, Bob. First team with a chance to win 3 straight MIAA championships. Well, hesitation move shot. Jackson Marshall goes down low to block the Gardner offering. Now the ball goes on the ground. Kilcoyne comes up with it, and now the Cardinals look to run. Barwick wrestles with it momentarily, but comes away with it. Sean Barwick. Sawyer down low. Sunderland. Truett Sunderland, the freshman.
Just a tremendous fast break. Starting down at this other end, Marshall with a really good save. He gets caught out of the crease with the ball in his stick. St. Mary's put it on the ground. Marshall had the presence of mind to pick it up, flipped it up the field. Barwick makes a great play in the middle of the field, turns to the goal, and a classic 4-on-3 fast break. Sunderland finishing it off down at the bottom.
Great shot of the Calvert Hall Crazies.
Loving the Hawaiian shirts tonight, Book.
Yeah, man. I'm surprised you're not wearing one, Dan. What happened?
Well, one thing Dave Gell brought up today was that this has got to be the first MIAA championship in a while where it hasn't been raining.
Yeah.
Bring out the Hawaiian shirts, man. I'm all for it.
Hawaiian shirt Gonzo Friday. Dave Gell, the media director for Corrigan Sports Enterprises. And again, Calvert Hall, they just come at you in bunches. Chris Catone, number 24, winning that face-off.
Booker, St. Mary's tried Ryan Jones on that face-off. Their main face-off guy, Zach Dudley, wasn't in there for that one. They're already getting a little nervous that Calvert Hall's handling this face-offs pretty good. I think Calvert Hall's 5-0 on the face-offs.
Less than a minute to play here, first quarter. Calvert Hall getting the better of the scoring. St. Mary's getting some play. I wouldn't go anywhere.
Herbert, you watch, he will feed somebody. He's a load. He'll get past the first guy typically, and he will feed. There he goes again.
Saucy Jack Sawyer to the extreme. I'll rock a mic like a vandal. Sawyer. Calvert Hall filling it up with 18.5, Bob. That's a bit of a backbreaker.
Another tremendous pass by Herbert, throwing the ball back. And Calvert Hall seems to have found something. 4 of the 5 goals that they've scored have all been in that same spot. Sticks off Schmidt's stick side high. The sun still might be a teeny bit of a factor, but when you're stepping down from 12 yards and you got the quality of the shooters in Mitchell and Sawyer, you know, not many goalies are going to make those saves.
And they don't shoot wide either. They do, obviously, but Saints coming out with the ball. Last chance shot, goal, St. Mary's. 9.6 left. Who you like?
Well, I like B.J. Burley's picking up this terrific ground ball in traffic, and he comes down the field and throws it to the right man. This is a big, big goal for the Saints. Gives them a little juice going into the second quarter. Great shot by Kraft. Great shot.
Great ground ball, as you noticed. Bob Shriver, longtime head coach at Boys Latin. Coach, and there's Vic Lilly, former teammate of Tom Dwyer back in his day. Dubs heel. You gotta love those guys. The alums, Brian Burley, St. Mary's alum. Brian Wood.
Hey, let's remember one of the great St. Mary's alums of all time, Michael Burnett.
The Mole. And as we reminisce, the first quarter comes to a close. Saints ending with a little bit of momentum. 5-1 Calvert Hall. The Saints are ready to find a way to climb the mountain. There's Barwick. He comes down, little bounce pass right here. Jewett Sunderland. He's feeling it.
Your summer starts here. Time to hit the road with a great deal on a new Toyota. And who knows what fun treats you'll find along the way.
Like barbecue, lobster,
Beignets,
street tacos. What is lengua?
It's tongue.
Oh.
Right now, buy a Highlander with $2,500 cash back, or take 1.9% APR financing, or pick a Sienna with $3,000 cash back.
Get your Toyota today.
Toyota, let's go places.
We have come a long way. All the amazing advancements in medicine. And while science has become better at treating people, we can't ever forget the importance of how we simply treat people. At MedStar Health, we believe it doesn't take a brain surgeon to get the best way to talk to a doctor isn't always in person, and that inside every human body lives a human being. The best of our minds, the best of our hearts. MedStar Health. It's how we treat people.
Corrigan Sports Enterprises is a full-service sports marketing and event management company. Every detail from marketing, public relations, logistics, and cleanup, Corrigan Sports Enterprises handles events from conception to fruition. The premier lacrosse and field hockey recruiting tournaments and high-profile running events. Corrigan Sports Enterprises, bringing your dreams to life.
Kelly & Associates Insurance Group and Kelly Payroll helps employers and employees save time, money, and hassle in navigating the intricacies of insurance, benefits, payroll, and workforce challenges. Kelly & Associates Insurance Group and Kelly Payroll is pleased to support CSE TV and the Game of the Week. Visit kellyway.com to put their people, technology, and services to work for you.
Second quarter set to face off. Booker Corrigan, Bob Shriver, and Dan Aburn from Inside Lacrosse joining us. And if you want to tweet at us, please do by all means at Booker Corrigan on Twitter. Hey, Bob, I want to remind you before we get to this face-off, on Tuesday, I reported an incident incorrectly about Westminster High School, and I was wrong. Westminster High School is having an amazing season. They're making a strong playoff run. Coach DeFeo is doing an amazing job, and I wish them nothing but success as they strive to have an undefeated season. I am a proud public school graduate myself from Radnor High School in 1983, but I want to know the Westminster folks. I was wrong the way I reported. I took one person's version of it, and I think Westminster's having a great season, and I fully apologize and was wrong.
Well, I'm sure they appreciate that very much, especially as they're trying to get another state title under their belt.
Big game against J.M. Bennett tomorrow. See if my man Christian Edginson can fill it. And as we say that, it gets paid off by the Cardinals. Bob, you said it on Tuesday night. What do they not do well? As we see a replay.
Well, this Sunderland, the freshman Truett Sunderland, just showing his terrific change of direction ability. He's up, down, he's up. Now he turns back away, and St. Mary's makes a mistake there. They should never slide to a guy's eyes, especially somebody that's going towards the end line and leaving somebody on the crease open. Stewart standing in there all alone, nobody anywhere near him. Ball's in, again, in the back of the net off a nice feed from Sunderland. Don't slide to somebody who's going to the end line. How's he going to score from behind the goal line extended? That's just a bad defensive series for St. Mary's.
And it's tough, too. As a high school kid, you're amped up. It's the A-Conference Championship game on TV. And you're playing against possibly the best team in the world.
Well, from Calvert Hall's perspective, they don't mind the goal that St. Mary's scored at the end of the quarter. You know, they'll give up 1 or 2 and take 3 or 4. You know, that's a pretty good ratio. And this year, in a bunch of games this year, Booker, they've showed the ability to just get out in front and stay in front. This is a great matchup. Grant Mitchell against B.J. Burlace. Burlace won that one.
Burlace takes his lunch money, and he's now ready to lead the break. Great trail check. You could almost see it coming, and right away, Ryan Kilcoyne gets the ball up, and conversely, here come the Cardinals.
Great hustle. Mitchell made a mistake. He got the ball checked out of his stick, but he didn't give up on it. Got back down there and made a check off Burlace. Really good defense down there by the close defense of Calvert Hall. Gave Burlace nothing to do with the ball. He got into no man's land. Mitchell caught him from behind.
22, Ethan, long shot, goal. Feeling it on the inside.
Herbert's 3rd assist from 30 yards. I can't keep beating this horse all year. We've done Calvert Hall games about 5 or 6 times, Booker, and Herbert's ability to feed the ball from the midline is unprecedented, especially in my opinion, for a high school junior. This is a terrific play.
Now you see Wes Schmidt, you see Brian Burlace going over to talk to him a little bit. You see the Calvert Hall huddle. Bob, 7-1 Calvert Hall, but championship games have had big differentials before.
Look at this feed from Herbert. From outside the restraining line to his running mate, Ethan Long, on the crease. There's no way St. Mary's could have felt that they're going to feed. Herbert's going to feed from that far out. Herbert with a goal and 3 assists so far out of the 7 that Calvert Hall has on the board.
Sounds like you might be lobbying a little bit for him to be the MedStar player, which he probably could be.
Got a head start.
At this point in time, if the game stopped, but the game's not stopping now. What do you think, Dan?
Herbert, obviously, I think he's set the tone early just with the way he's been dodging downhill and getting separation. It's really just been a performance that he's just taken today.
Love to see. There's Booker's all MIAA team. Your midfield, I got my short stick D midi, Aiden Fritz on the field right now. Dane Swanson, Andy Matthews, Alex Wicks, Chorus. I love Kevin Ellington and Noah Klein in the goal. I like my team, Bob. B.J. Burlace, Saucy Jack Sawyer and Daniel Kelly, Liam Powderly. I like to take that team on the road with Cam Spencer. Now, Bob, your team's coming up in a little while. I want my team to face off against your team. I like my chances.
You have no shot. It would be very much, I think, like the 2006 game.
Now, for those of you who aren't fully aware, Bob was the head coach at Boys Latin School in 2006, and in the championship game you faced off against the McDonough Screaming Eagles, and I was the head coach, and you did get the better of us. And you had
No,
Brian Farrell.
I
You
had
Brian
nothing
Farrell.
to do with it. The kids out on the field got the better of the McDonough kids out on the
Farrell,
field.
Travis Reed, Chris Boland, Brett Weiss, Nick Fields. In the cage, you had Hagelin. What a great kid. Jake Hagelin. Jake
The mustard
Longsleeve
man.
Yeah, long-sleeve Hags.
Oh, look at that.
Here we go. Tyler Dunn with the face-off win. Throws a little sky whammy. He gets Tominovich, and we're going to get a timeout by Calvert Hall. That's a good timeout call. He was running for his life.
Coach Kelly very seldom is put in that position to call a timeout when one of his kids getting chased. It's usually happening to the other team. Good timeout.
Wait till you see what we have coming up next.
Welcome to Hunt Country Jewelers, a world of fine gemstones of all colors and award-winning designs, where each piece is handmade in our workshop. From original jewelry and gemstone expertise to commissioning a new piece or a fun evening at our gemology detective events, we invite you to our world full of intricacies and delights, where beauty comes in all price ranges.
Your summer starts here. Time to hit the road with a great deal on a new Toyota. And who knows what fun treats you'll find along the way.
Like barbecue, lobster,
Beignets.
street tacos. What is lengua?
It's tongue.
Oh.
Right now, buy a Highlander with $2,500 cash back, or take 1.9% APR financing, or pick a Sienna with $3,000 cash back.
Get your Toyota today.
Toyota, let's go places.
Nice shot at Calvert Hall. Saucy Jack Sawyer, number 6 in white. Calvert Hall will be on offense coming out of the timeout. Cole Herbert, 1 goal, 3 assists. Not a bad night, and it's only barely halfway through the second quarter.
Saints are coming out in the zone. Booker, they've showed that a bunch this year. They played zone intermittently the other night against Boys Latin.
Tominovich goes behind.
They do press out of it. Everybody thinks you're playing a zone and you don't pressure the ball, but a lot of zones will pressure the ball, and this time Calvert Hall did, St. Mary's did, and did a great job.
Tominovich running for his life a little bit, and that's going to go out of bounds. One of the other guys I want to mention is Michael McNelly, junior attackman for Calvert Hall, blew out his knee early in practice, and Michael McNelly has stuck with it every practice, every game. Fantastic kid, and they're going to give that to St. Mary's. Tominovich winning it to the end line.
Well, how about the ride? Tominovich busting up the field with good speed. Number 25, Josh Weber, that speed merchant we've watched play a bunch this year.
There we go. Oh, it's outside. And we're going to get a crease violation.
Phenomenal pass by Ryan Jones, threading the needle through Calvert Hall's defense to Cramp right on the doorstep. He face dodge, got inside, and unfortunately didn't get the ball on the goal. Might have been a nice check by one of those big strapping Calvert Hall defensemen, Parker Bird.
Parker Bird's been playing great this year. He, Jake Snyder, and Ryan Kilcoyne. I mean, that's a defense. That's almost an all MIAA defense.
Well, you got Bird going to UNC, Snyder going to Ohio State. I mean, it's Division I's all over the place for the Cardinals.
Daniel Kelly, inside feed shot. What a save, Schmidt. No soup for you. Shot goes wide and a heady backup.
2 in a row for Tominovich. They do a great job. Their defensemen for St. Mary's, excuse me, Booker, they do a great job getting to the end line off shots.
BJ Burley splits the double. That's why they call him Maverick. And he lobs it over to Ian Cramp. Cramp committed to Johns Hopkins. He gets it over to Scout Ripley. Tominovich, he's committed to Georgetown. Also played in that Under Armour Underclass event. And that Under Armour Underclass callback game is the highest level of play you'll see in your region. Go to UnderArmourLacrosse.com and make sure you get there.
Gabe Souza running down the hashes, got a decent shot.
shot over the cage. Almost a possession shot there. There's 30 seconds on the shot clock. No need to rush right now.
Hockenberry inverts all the time against the opponent's shorties.
Cramp guarded by Parker Bird. Save Marshall. Credit Bird with good position defense right there.
Good position. There's another example of a guy coming from behind the goal that needs to get up the field, maybe another step. Good save by Schmidt. Maybe he's getting his game a little bit. The sun's not in his eyes. He's made a couple good saves here in the last couple minutes. Schmidt was terrific the other night against Boys Latin. Back to their zone.
Interesting to see St. Mary's come back out in the zone. Just great save.
Oh, another rebound save. Schmitty. Tell you, Calvert Hall crease guy looked like a little Patrick McGrath right there.
Look at these guys
Look
up
at
here
Burrell.
to ride.
God.
Look at them up here to ride. Where are they all coming from? And look, it's almost like they have too many of them.
Yeah, I said that the other night, and you looked at me like I was crazy. It looks like there's 15 Calvert Hall guys out there every now and then.
They're very good at it. You talked about it at the outset of the game, how good they are riding, and that was on full display, and it has been on full display in this game.
The ball in and out of the stick, but a timely substitution.
Oh my Lord, what an incredible play by Parker Bird. Just getting his stick in the passing lane and picking that thing off, intended for Cramp. As Dunleavy's trying to move the ball back behind the goal and swing it up to the backside, and Bird stuck his stick right out there and made just a ridiculous play.
And St. Mary's is officially offsides right now. And a flag flies as Scott Hensley checks in on Twitter.
I know Scott's a big fan of my podcast, so shout out Scott.
Nice.
He loves lacrosse as much as anybody.
As much as anyone who doesn't have the last name Corrigan, is Daniel Kelly from his home spot. Bob, you talked about it the other night, and you said X marks the spot, and he shot 10,000 times. You're talking about backyard, rec fields, black ball. Here it is.
Who starts this, though? Herbert. He's dodging on the guy. He breaks his stick, so now the Saints have to rotate Herbert to Mitchell to Kelly, and there's Kelly. Nobody basically on him, standing at his spot, and the ball frequently does go in the goal.
You slide off Daniel Kelly, sound the cannon. My man Jeff Dillon's checking in. Former head coach out at Westminster. Great human.
You know, the one thing that lacrosse doesn't do is they don't give those hockey assists that we see so, prevalent in the NHL. Of course, what a ground ball by Wicks.
Wicks feeling it. And Jackson Marshall for Calvert Hall is going to get the back up there.
But what I was saying, Booker, like on that last play, Herbert makes a really nice play. The kid guarding him broke his stick, so he's got to leave the field. Now they're rotating, and Herbert, he didn't try to throw, I call it the assist. He threw a pass to Mitchell, who threw another pass to Kelly, and it's in the back of the net. That's a hockey assist for Herbert. Again, showing the ability to feed the ball from the midfield and feed it so effectively. That is a really dangerous, dangerous combination, especially when somebody like Herbert can draw a slide, which he's about to do here.
Clock below the 4-minute mark. Daniel Kelly, top center, inside feed, shot just over the cage. Truett Sunderland. Colin Burlace turns him away. And now it's Cole Herbert. Big howdy do to all my friends at the Valley Inn watching the game tonight. Kelly, catch, release. Oh, what a save by Schmidt. Ball is in his equipment. That'll be St. Mary's ball.
That was a tremendous save. Did you see Schmidt? He slid his body to the ball, his stick out in front of his body. Really impressive. For a kid that's been playing in the goal for 14 months, he's terrific. Look at that save. He drove his hand to the ball and his body followed it. Really a terrific save.
This is Souza. Gabe Souza, just a junior. Now Ripley up top with Souza. Souza gets a half a step, but he's too far. They don't slide. Skip pass up top. Ripley rolls back, shot just wide. Backed up effectively by Alan Hockenberry, junior midfielder. Invert midi. Hockenberry, skip pass, shot Souza. Cramp in position to back it up. Cramp guarded by Parker Bird. Diagonal pass over the head, and now we get flags flying.
This is off ball, Booker. The Calvert Hall defender's guilty of hitting somebody from behind, or pushing somebody from behind off ball. I think he's going to get a 30-second. They call that an interference. As that ball was being fed, the guy on the crease for Calvert Hall, I believe it was number 44, Jake Snyder, pushed the, nope, they're calling it on 2.
You don't need to be Judge Joe Murphy to figure that one out. Referees for tonight's game, Francis Donnelly, Walter Skopchik, and Jackie Treehorn bringing you the action. And of course, Judge Joe Murphy inside, Ripley shot, goal. That's man up, and that's why they call it execution.
Well, give Ripley credit for handling this ball in heavy traffic. He's got Parker Bird standing all over him. Ripley caught this ball, was able to turn away from the pressure. Watch, Ripley number 17 cutting inside. Really a terrific play by him. Caught the ball under duress, turned and stuck it into the far side.
Dan, what are you sensing down there on the St. Mary's sideline? Are their chests puffed out, or are their shoulders down a little bit?
Well, their shoulders aren't down, but
okay.
You know, one thing that they're really concerned about is the way things are going at the face-off X. I mean, Calvert Hall's pretty much dominated all night, despite St. Mary's having 2 of the more dominant wing players in the entire conference, and like right there.
100% correct. And now we get bodies flying. We're going to call that a loose ball push. And they're going to restart it all the way back. But again, Bob, we talked about this on Tuesday night. St. Mary's, they don't ride that much because they love to get the right personnel in. And we get a timeout by Coach Brian Kelly of Calvert Hall. 1:38 remaining in this first half. Calvert Hall up 6. St. Mary's looking to make a difference and change some numbers.
August Getz came from Germany. Bought a chewing gum company. World War II happened. No more chicken. Began making caramels filled with creams, aka bullseyes. Bright idea. Stretch a caramel cream into a stick and call it cowtails. Tails like fairy tales. Put them in cups. Became #1 selling 25-cent item. Added flavors. Started making minis. Added different pack types. Still family owned. Loved for generations by generations. GetSome.com.
Represent for Rough Rider Nation. The Rough Riders have been on top of the game since 2007. Rough Rider alums continue to shine and won national championships at all levels. Rough Rider teams dominate the countryside in Maryland, Pennsylvania, and now Virginia. Check us out online at roughriderlacrosse.com. It's time to ride or die.
1, 2, 3, ride!
Yo, Sean.
Yeah, St. Mary's coming out of the timeout. Bob, you got 1:38 to go. You anticipating zone here?
It looks like they're setting up for the zone again. Hey, look, Schmidt's hung in there. Made some really good saves this quarter. Calvert Hall's had 3 or 4 terrific shots that Schmidt stole.
Cole Herbert playing some catch with Mitchell. Now it's Daniel Kelly behind to Sunderland. Calvert Hall 1-4-1. And one thing those two guys do on the inside is they never stop moving. Mitchell, Herbert, shot just over the cage. Ethan Long, number 22, already has a goal today.
I'm not so sure Schmidt didn't get a piece of that one, Booker.
I think that hit off a helmet.
The voice of Dan Aburn from Inside Lacrosse joining us.
Dan over on that far sideline, right at the midline, has a great angle on that last shot.
Some zone offense here as the clock is below 1 minute and a half. Inside feed, no dice. Kelly comes up with the loose ball. Daniel Kelly feed on the goal line extended. Sunderland fights the urge. And there's the over and back.
St. Mary's also has a timeout, I think, Booker, or did they call their second one in the...
They have one timeout left according to the scoreboard. 30 seconds, and there you go. Bob, I almost feel like you coached a couple of these games. You coached some title games. So, Bob, let me ask you this. On the point of you coaching title games, how do you, I don't know why.
They must have been offsides, Booker, so the timeout was null and void. And now they're offsides again, this time riding. So there's a flag down. It's a free shot here for the Cardinals. They could shoot, and if it doesn't go in, they'll get the ball to start the second half. There's no reason for him not to go to the goal here.
Yep. And Cole Herbert.
Holding the ball here does nothing for Calvert Hall, I might tell you. It does nothing for them, unfortunately, because there's a flag down. They could have taken a shot from 40 yards and they would have gotten the ball right back. They didn't need to hold it there.
We are going to have the Kelly and Associates coaches catch up when we can. Dan Aburn will talk with Brian Kelly as we see them huddle up momentarily before they go into the locker room. There we see Dan, BK, in the red hat. He's had that red hat for about 11 years. Here's Bob, that's your all MIA team. What do you like?
I had a little fun there. When I did it, Don Petramalo was just coming off a 10-goal performance in 2 games. Daniel Kelly, certainly pretty easy. Jack Corus, we saw him the other night. He's terrific. Cam Spencer really coming on. I love Mason Woodward, Blake Gable, those 2 left-handed defensemen. Not giving Parker Bird and the Calvert Hall defense because they haven't had played that much defense.
Let's go down to Dan. He's got Brian Kelly with him.
Yeah, I'm on the field here with Coach Brian Kelly. Coach, how pleased were you with your team's ability to distribute in that first half?
It was very good, except for when they went zone. I mean, we settled for we didn't even work the ball, just many early shots on that. I think we're a very good zone team, so I was a little frustrated with that, and hopefully we can clean that up. But our effort's been.
And how do you evaluate your performance at the face-off X?
I mean, it's been big. Our guys have done a good job. Tony, really, our wing, excellent. And Burrell and Wixie. They're both great players.
And what would you like to see over the next 24 minutes?
Preventing them from scoring goals. That's what I'd see. Just keep playing hard and doing the best we can, and just focus on each ground ball, each possession at a time.
Thank you for your time, Coach.
Thank you.
Always great to catch up with Coach Brian Kelly every game we've done. He's been the halftime coaches interview. Let's go back to the graphic, Bob, of the team that's going to lose when your team plays my team. There you are, Gable Braun. You got Mason Woodward. I love the way he plays. BJ Burlace, Grant Mitchell. My team's deeper.
Well, it is. You put more guys on your team than I did, so right away you have an advantage. But look, defensively, Parker Bird and Jake Snyder for Calvert Hall should clearly be in the mix. Unfortunately, when they play, they don't have to do that much just because of the dominance of the rest of their team, and that's obviously not fair to them. Gable and Woodward and Burlace and Tominovich, they've got to play more, so you recognize them a little bit more. And they're great players, so are Parker and Bird.
There's a name on there
Snyder
that you and I both
Parker.
love, Alex Wicks. I mean, he's on an all-MIA team, and he may not make the newspaper teams because he doesn't have the numbers. But you're not going to coach a game without him. That's a kid that you want on your team.
Well, we've seen this in the Division, 1, 2, and 3 All-Americans. They pick short stick defensive middies now. Zach Goodrich here at Towson's one of the best in the country. Yep. He gets recognized regularly. Alex Wicks will clearly be recognized for his ability at that position.
We are going to step away momentarily. Great halftime coming up here from Towson. As the nighttime falls, so does the A Conference Championship game. And just like the rug ties the room together, halftime highlights and stats tie the game together. Here's your highlights, Bob. Calvert Hall rolling heavy like Danson and Highsmith.
Beautiful pass by Mitchell to Kelly on his spot. It's a good save by Marshall. Dunleavy steps in the crease. Now here's Herbert. We're going to see the Herbert show here for the next couple. That's a massive, massive shot there. I always call it coming down the hash marks. Just a sensational pass by Herbert to Mitchell, who's stepping down from 12 yards. Goalie Schmidt's looking right into the sun. There's Sawyer. There's a big save right there by Schmidt.
And that save was from an angle, so the sun wasn't a factor.
Yeah, and this is a great fast break by Calvert Hall. That pass to the point man Sawyer was a bounce pass. It doesn't matter. It was thrown to the right guy. There's another great feed from Herbert back behind him to Sawyer. He steps into this, puts it up in the corner. That one is coming out of the sun, and Schmidt really struggled with shots out of the sun. This is right before the end of the first quarter. Burrell to cramp, getting the Saints on the board, so they felt pretty good coming out of the quarter. Sunderland, watch this move, just back and forth, change of direction. A bad slide by the Saints, leaving the man wide open on the crease, Stewart. Nice feed by Sunderland. Kelly, Schmidt, two great saves in a row. He's not looking into the sun now, he's at the other end of the field. The sun's at his back. Herbert to Mitchell to Kelly. An unfair fight, as we like to say. Kelly on his spot again. What a feed and a handle by Ripley on an extra man play for St. Mary's to give them a little life right at the end of the quarter, 8-2, but they're going to start this second half down a man.
We are going to step away just momentarily after we look at the stats, look at the ground balls, 16-6, Bob, you just pointed at it. Turnovers, 8-4, face-offs. It just literally tells the story right there.
Well, face-offs lead the ground balls if you're winning them, obviously, and those two statistics are very key in this game. You know, losing 3 out of 12 means that Calvert Hall has 9 more possessions than St. Mary's, and with the bevy of talent they have at the offensive end, you know, it just gives them more opportunities, and, you know, you're really hoping that your defense and goalie can stand up.
Calvert Hall up 6. We have an entire second half. Crazy things have happened in this A-Conference Championship game. We'll see if St. Mary's has it. We are at Towson University for the MIAA A-Conference Championship game brought to you by FCA Lacrosse. Joining the booth right now by Lee Corrigan, who created the Under Armour All-American event. I know this story about how it was like the McDonald's All-American event for basketball, but what I want to talk about is the new. Moving forward, the Underclass Tryouts. You have a new location this year, historic Homewood Field. How exciting is that?
I think it's going to be great, and also we're going to split up the command division and the highlight division, so that's going to give college coaches, all the evaluators, more of an opportunity to really focus on those guys each particular tryout.
And another new, the tourney location. It normally is here at Towson. Yeah. This year I'm joined in the booth by Lee Corrigan. It's going to be at Meadowood Park.
Sure, and that is big for us. And, of course, we've enjoyed a great relationship here with the people from Towson for years, but, of course, they're under construction here. However, that allows us to take the entire event to one location at Meadowood Park. 7 fields going, boys games, girls games. It's going to be a great party that weekend.
And Dan, I know you're down there listening, and I know Inside Lacrosse is responsible for the selection of the senior team. As we see an inside goal, nice finish by Mitchell, and that 2-4 formation that they love. Dan, talk a little bit while we can watch the replay. Talk a little bit of how hard you guys work at selecting that senior team, that committee of yours at Inside Lacrosse.
Yeah, well, it's a really difficult and long process. It begins about when a lot of these kids are, freshmen in high school. And we go to a lot of club tournaments. We go to a lot of high school games. and just really get out as much as we can and try to evaluate them over a 4-year period. And then once we get to their senior year, like it is this year, we kind of go in with a list of guys that we think are qualified, and we talk to some coaches, we talk to club coaches, and just kind of try to get an overall feel about, who really is going to pan out at the next level, while also keeping in mind all of their high school accomplishments. And tell you what, Booker, I'm glad that the process is nearing its end.
It is unbelievable. And I tell you, Dan, you got 2 public school guys up here, Swarthmore Public High School and Radnor High School. So we're the guys in those underclass tryouts. We're looking for that balance. We are very inclusive of giving those public school kids a little bit more love and just give it some more representation.
Sure, and that's something we strive for. And the Under Armour All-American has to be a situation where everybody walks out of that, whether public, private, whether they play for the Crabs or the Rough Riders, the Hawks, or the whoever, that they walked out of there with a good shot at making the team and a great opportunity to be recruited and evaluated by college coaches. And that's really what I'm really proud of, actually.
And speaking of proud, the Kelly family's probably pretty proud of what Daniel's been able to accomplish. As Bob Shriver looks over my shoulder, Bob, that was from his spot. He doesn't shoot from a lot of other places. But ladies and gentlemen, he's done pretty well shooting from there, so why not? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
He closes pretty well, doesn't he?
Now, the other thing I want to get to with you, Lee Corrigan joining me in the booth, the creator of the Under Armour All-American game. Under Armour challenged you to build the brand of the All-American Lacrosse event even bigger, and you found a way to achieve that. How exciting is this new announcement?
It's going to be really neat, and that is Under Armour asked us how to extend the brand throughout the entire year. And, of course, the fall is a very aggressive recruiting period for college coaches, and so we created the Callback Academy. So during the summer, all these regional tryouts have the callback game. And if you make the callback game, that means you're one of the top 40 to 50 kids at that tryout. So obviously that's a big feather in your cap. All the college coaches know all the kids at that point can really play. So they're being invited to Richmond, Virginia.
Any kid who makes the callback game or makes the team.
You got it. Correct. And that's a very important part of it. And now what they're going to get is they're going to get strength and conditioning. They're going to get sports psychology. They're going to get NCAA compliance and recruiting. They're going to get on-the-field training by D1 coaches. And then, of course, they're going to play in great games with all those other kids from all the other regions that made those callback games.
And you mentioned that, the callback game is the premier event as far as the tryouts go. And then you mentioned this is going to take place in the fall. How many club tournaments have we been to where games are 13-1? I mean, these games are going to be highly competitive from the get-go because it's the best talent in the region.
And that's a really good point. There's a lot of club games that go on out there every year, all summer long, that are the 13-2 variety. And if you ever go to a callback game in Baltimore, you know that it's a vicious cockfight. And so therefore, you're seeing great lacrosse. You're never seeing a blowout. And all the college coaches are lined up from end line to end line watching that callback game because they know it's the top 50 kids.
Champ Kind, Brick Tamlin, they're all in. Veronica Corningstone might be on the sideline. Oh, low to high. Oh, he logs on to www.ICatchOnTheCreaseTurnAndStingCorners.com, which is a long URL.
Yeah.
But here's a replay of it. I mean, look at this inside feed and a great catch by Weber, who's normally a speed guy. Evidently, he's pretty clutch, too, as Calvert Hall extends it. They are expanding their lead, and they don't lose face-offs. Great coaching staff, as we see.
They got a lot of coaches down there. That's for doggone sure.
Yeah. Joel Tinney, former Culver and Hopkins standout, on the sideline now. Scotty Rogers, former Notre Dame goaltender, as we have a great weekend of college lacrosse coming up. Calvert Hall getting all they want and taking all they want. Catone wins the face-off, and St. Mary's will steal it away, and here's Wicks. The other thing you mentioned, Lee, was that Under Armour Underclass Tryout and how important it is as far as a showcase for a young man, whether you're in Baltimore or whether you're in the South or the West. And the West won the Command Division. So I'm by no means pushing on the West. I'm just letting you know, you want to get seen and showcased, get to those Under Armour lacrosse tryouts.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you know, one of the key things there is you got everybody from the highest D1 coaches sitting on the sideline to D3 guys, you know, out there. And it's, you know, if you show well in that tryout, you're going to get some opportunities lined up for you. So that's the key thing, and that we want everybody to walk away from that with an opportunity to go play college lacrosse.
And one of the people that we've been associated with for a long, long time, a young man like Justin Ward.
Yep.
You know,
it's great
did a great job, played some club ball, played some high school ball, but he really got it at the Under Armour Underclass Tryout. Goes to Loyola University, wins a national championship, and was, at a time, the all-time assist leader before a young man named Patrick Spencer came along.
Exactly, and guess what? He never made the Baltimore team. So that's how good the competition is here in the Baltimore-Washington area. You know, there's an endless list of guys that never made the Baltimore team, but still got a lot of recognition, and they first got spotted at those Under Armour tryouts, and that kind of kicked off their recruiting process.
And you and I are close a little bit with Charlie Toomey. He loves to tell that story. Lee Corrigan joining us in the booth. Coach Corrigan, thanks so much for your time. We're going to bring the hired gun Bob Shriver back onto the mic.
The old gentleman.
Yes. Great to have some clarity shined on that Under Armour Underclass and Senior event. Dan, thanks so much for that. Your input as far as service on the committee is so valuable to so many young men, so thank you. Souza takes it away. Nice catch in the middle of the field. Now we have a flag flying late.
Kelly went off sides there, Booker. See it all the time, hustling to the midline, riding like he's supposed to. He just couldn't stop his momentum. He should really, he's off sides. He should go down there and play defense.
Cramp shot over the cage. They got a shot off. As we are late into the third quarter. Calvert Hall up, but St. Mary's going back on the man up. And you and I talk about this a lot, Bob. It's one goal. There's no two-point line. There's no three-point line. One goal at a time, chip away.
Just got to keep grinding. The next face-off, the next ground ball, the next clear, the next save. Obviously, the next play you got to keep making if you want to force your way back into this contest. One adjustment St. Mary's made for those people that were paying attention while you and Lee were talking is they double polled. They moved Tominovich up top, and so he and Burrell are playing the quality Calvert Hall middies, and they're short sticking number 3, the young kid Truett Sunderland, and they're short sticking him with Wicks. But then there's St. Mary's has a chance, and they throw the ball away on man up. And here's Sasaki.
St. Mary's with 10 turnovers tonight to Calvert Hall's just 6. And they've had almost double the possessions, so it's...
Yeah, that's clear. Yeah, one of those Calvert Hall goals, the one that Kelly just dunked down there, it was created again by number 1, Cole Herbert, driving. He drew a slide through the ball correctly to Snyder, who threw it to Kelly for that step-down layup. And here's this double pole. We have Burley's covering Grant Mitchell, and Tominovich is covering Herbert. Short stick, defensive midi, number 13, Alex Wicks. Now they're going, it looks like they're stepping up into their zone.
Sawyer gets it behind Herbert. Goal line extended shot. Post Malone showing up.
That was a serious Post Malone.
Yes, it was.
We've had a few posts. St. Mary's hit a post about a minute and a half ago that went out of bounds, and Calvert Hall was the closest to the sideline.
Bob, are you not catching on? You got to call it Post Malone.
Well, I don't know who Post Malone is, so I would be foolish to use that term.
You know, Booker.
He's just a singer.
I'm wondering where Wesley Pipes went, man. I'm with Boyle.
Yeah, Wesley Pipes. Yeah, you obviously saw my Army Penn game for the NCAA playoffs, Wesley Pipes. I'm big on Post Malone. I have a very good friend who lives in the same house I do.
Big save by Mitchell. We have a flag down on a slash. Free possession for Calvert Hall.
Yeah, just what they needed.
Sawyer on a shorty. They take great advantage. They see a matchup that they like and they get the ball to that person. Sawyer will start the offense. Another save by Schmidt. Schmidt's the only thing that's keeping this thing within their sights.
Schmidt with 11 saves on the day. Absolute stud as we reach the 4:51 mark. Third quarter. And it's a little bit, Bob, at some point we're going to start talking about Calvert Hall and where they measure up as far as great MIAA conference teams. They've won in dominant fashion, reflective of your 1997 team a little bit.
Well, it's tough. You know, people will maybe take some offense, but the 97 BL team and the Calvert Hall team, I talked to Glenn Graham from the Sun Papers today, their stats are eerily similar. In 97, we averaged about 15 plus goals a game and gave up 5. And according to Glenn, that's what Calvert Hall's averaging this year. Herbert, with the fake flip, he kept the ball that time, fed it to Kelly, and there's Schmidt.
He got a piece.
He got a piece of that.
I hope they register that as a save because he clearly did get a piece. That's the other thing. In Calvert Hall, they don't shoot wide much. They make goalies make saves because they know if he makes a save, they're going to ride it back. Ooh,
another
Sunderland.
Save. I mean, another save. A beautiful pass. Kelly threw that ball through to Sunderland. He dropped his stick. Schmidt went down there and got a piece of it. He's going to be
Sawyer
in the ice bath tonight. That one he couldn't get to.
And that ball in and out of the corner so fast. I'm having a bad day. Don't make me take it out on you. This is just man up. This is Calvert Hall saying, this is a house of learned doctors.
That's the one he saved.
Yep.
Beautiful
Great
save,
play.
Schmidt.
The top coaches in the nation are getting ready to select the best high school underclass lacrosse teams in the country. Can you make the cut? The Under Armour All-American Underclass Tryouts have become the premier lacrosse exposure showcase in the entire sport. Exhibit your skills to top D1, 2, and 3 coaches and compete against the top talent in your region. Push yourself, shape your future, rep your region. Visit UnderArmourLacrosse.com now and register. And there are my rankings for the area. And Calvert Hall, #1, potentially #1 in the country. St. Mary's, #2. BL had a good showing in the semifinals. Loyola beat St. Paul's head-to-head. And BL beat McDonough head-to-head. And Gilman somehow eked out of the playoffs. Now, I had Rick Mercado reach out to me on Twitter and talk about how impressive this Calvert Hall team is. Bob, you and I were just talking about how they stack up historically. How do they stack up 2019 in the national scene?
Well, I've seen a couple teams, Booker, that can certainly play with the Cardinals. I watched the Hill Calvert Hall game. It's the only blemish on their record, an overtime loss to the Hill Academy, who's obviously one of the best teams year in and year out in North America because they are from Canada. But I've seen, I saw one of the finest high school games I've ever seen the other night from New York, St. Anthony's against Chaminade. Both teams have as many Division I players on each of those teams as Calvert Hall has. I think that they would be terrific games. Haverford has had a great year, played the hardest schedule in the country. Salisbury School in Connecticut is undefeated. Who else is in that? Oh, Brunswick School in Connecticut. You know, some of those New England schools that do have PGs, but they are terrific. So Calvert Hall stacks up easily with all those teams. It's too bad that, you know, sometimes you don't get a chance at the end of the year to see some of the MIAA schools participate in that national stuff. But a lot of it is when this game's over tonight, there's not an MIAA school that wants to keep playing lacrosse. It's over.
They've ground it out.
Oh my gosh, Weber is just this kid, and he's a junior. You're talking about how many guys Calvert Hall loses. They lose some good ones, but they got a lot of good ones coming back, and he's one of them.
They definitely have talent all over the field. Here's Sawyer, and he just hits a streaking Weber from 11 yards out.
Weber's stuck 2 from outside 1 foot where he usually shoots from. He's usually down on the crease shooting. He showed the ability to bring some heat. That nice inside feed that he elevated, and then that one from 12 yards.
Shot of Vic Lilly.
No fun on Vic's sideline, I can tell you that. We've all been there before, right?
It's funny. We have been there before, Bob, and I appreciate that. It's funny because I joke every now and then when you pick up a tough ground ball on the field, your reward is you have 3 guys from the other team slashing you. Vic Lilly leads St. Mary's over PL in the semifinals, and for that you get rewarded by having to play Calvert Hall. It's rough sledding because they come at you from so many places.
This is the first time we've seen number 9, Justin Mintzer, on the field. He runs with this second group. He'll rotate in. He usually takes the place of Colin Stewart, and Mintzer will often invert. Here's Weber with his speed stuff. Calvert Hall missed a pass. Jeez.
Yeah. Last time that happened was practice in March 3rd. And a happy birthday to Jenny McGee, one of our longtime fans here. Big McGee. Jenny McGee's been around. Mac Pons' aunt. Inside feed, shot, goal, and he's late. Yay. They're going to give it to him, and they probably should.
Well, we're seeing Calvert Hall at its best, and we've been seeing this routine consistently this year. They've just, what a great play. There's another guy sliding to a feeder's eyes. Not a good idea. That guy was not going anywhere. Sawyer was running. He was at the goal line extended. He's running towards the Calvert Hall bench. There was no need to slide there. That's a mistake, but you're trying to make something happen if you're on a St. Mary's team and on the sidelines, and it's just not going their way.
You can't grab a piece of momentum in any way, shape, or form. Let's go down to Dan Aburn. Dan, you watch a lot of high school lacrosse. Where does this Calvert Hall team stack up nationally, in your opinion?
Well, I think after this game, they're probably going to get a hard look at a #1 ranking, just simply because of how well they performed down the stretch. I mean, there really hasn't been too many games that we've seen that have just been close at all. So it's just like, I just look at the depth of scoring, the fact that they've got, you know, D1 midfielders on their second midfield is it's unbelievable. And the best part about this Calvert Hall team, though, is I feel like they always play like they have something to prove, despite being back-to-back MIAA champs already.
That is an attribute that a lot of really, really good teams have. As we see a goal for Scout Ripley from St. Mary's. A much-needed goal.
He threaded the needle here. I don't know how he got this ball. He's almost past the goal line extended, Ripley is. Gets his hands free. Doesn't really have much to shoot at, but he found the net. An impressive shot. That's his second goal on the night. He had a beautiful play on that extra man in the second quarter. There's Coach Burrell, BJ's dad, St. Mary's assistant, and Colin's dad, congratulating Ripley on a nice goal.
Tyler Dunn winning the face-off, but B.J. Burlace.
To his brother. No, that's to...
Is that Timinovich?
No, that's the number 18.
Ridgely.
Gavin Ridgway.
Pass picked off. And St. Mary's looks to push with 40 seconds left in the third.
Burley will sometimes stay in on offense. Now he's coming off. He's exhausted, and what he's been doing mostly is chasing loose balls on faceoffs that they haven't won, because Calvert Hall has dominated at the X, winning most of the draws to either Dunn or Catone, the two faceoff specialists for the Cardinals.
Faceoffs heavily in favor as clock now below 10 seconds. Great shot, great goal.
Is this deja vu all over again? This is Ripley again finding the net with very, very little bit to shoot at. This is impressive. He's outside the hash marks. You don't see that often, especially from such a low angle. That's something that kid's practiced a lot, you better believe. He's like Kelly at the other end.
Yeah.
Maybe that's Ripley's spot.
That's his, well, it's also his on-the-run spot, as we see the St. Mary's crowd getting into it a little bit, feeling him a little bit positive about scoring the last couple goals. Late third quarter, Catone rakes it back, and Cole Herbert whips it down the end, and that'll do it for the third. A lot of action, a lot of back and forth. Some of the best players in the country on the field tonight.
Corrigan Sports.
Fourth quarter. Set to go. Face-offs dominated by Calvert Hall, and there's Barwick coming up with it. That'll be another win.
Oh, he almost threw that into his own goal. That would have been something.
Harrison Ewing with the clear for Calvert Hall, number 21. Calvert Hall in white. St. Mary's in their royal blue. Booker Corrigan, Bob Shriver, and Dan Aburn bringing to the call. Dan, have you heard any talk of substitutions for either team so far?
Well, I feel like Calvert Hall might take a little bit time to get some subs in. I feel like they another 4 to 5 minutes just of getting their first teamers out there, kind of get this one in the bag. I haven't heard anything about St. Mary's though, but I feel like both huddles had very simple messages. It's just that let's continue to compete, just from varying perspectives, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, compete is a relative term.
Well, there's one kid that St. Mary's has competed. Everybody on their team's competed, but there's one that's really stood up tall, if you ask me, and that's the goaltender. Just made another phenomenal save.
And
There's
a phenomenal
Herbert.
shot, Cole Herbert.
Well, in my opinion, you know, forgetting the two Calvert Hall face-off guys who could be the co-players of the game, but Herbert's the player of this game. That's his second goal. He's got 3 assists. He has 2 hockey assists. He's just been terrific.
And there he is, banging it off the post and in. That is just asking a lot.
The UNC-bound Cole Herbert, although there is talk right now that he may go and try to play big-time D1 football and give up his lacrosse career, but I'm sure that remains to be seen.
Face-off scrum, and Barwick getting his nose in there. Comes up with it and gets it back. It's going to go past Snyder.
Coach Kelly says Barwick is such a good soccer player. He has the opportunity to go play soccer and lacrosse in college, or he could go play Division I soccer or Division I lacrosse if he's asked to make that decision. Big-time athlete.
And I've been informed that Truett Sunderland and Dominic Petramala play on the same Cooper's lacrosse club team. That's not a bad little unit.
Those two playing together.
Bob, you or I could be the third member of that attack unit.
Yeah, just stand on the crease.
They're just shot fired wide.
There's Cramp using his not tall, but very solid body to bear in on Barwick that time, and he got his hands free.
Also, a quick shout out to Cam Dolan of that Cooper squad, along with Hereford's Devin Alton. And long stick committee Aiden Johnson out of Hereford. Great night for lacrosse, especially for the Calvert Hall faithful. Cardinals looking to be the first ever MIAA Conference three-peat. Dunleavy shot goes just wide.
Well, we've given Calvert Hall enough accolades this year,
they've earned
Booker,
them.
and last year and the year before that, and they've honestly earned every single one of them. I think the thing that impresses me the most, they're very talented, but they play hard. They don't give up. They move the ball really well on offense. They're tenacious, riding. You know, they do all these little things that when you add it all up and throw in the talent of Herbert, the Mitchells, Daniel Kelly, Snyder, Truett Sunderland, you know, as a freshman, the defense with Parker Bird and Jake Snyder, it's an impressive lot. And Coach Kelly deserves a lot of credit.
And Truett Sunderland, his change of direction reminds me of a young Tad Stanwix. That's not too far off.
That's not too far off. I'd have to kind of agree. He has a great change of direction.
I want you to know I got some inside intel on Twitter from Coach Brock on that one.
Starting to get a little substitutions here for Calvert Hall. Some of the third midfield, fourth midfield in.
I'm sure Coach Kelly's going to work very hard to get his seniors that haven't played much into this game. What a thrill for them to get an opportunity to play in this game at the beautiful complex here at Towson in front of a good crowd.
On a beautiful night, the geriatric Laxer checking in on Twitter, letting us know how happy he is with the broadcast as we see some subs coming in white. Ryan Vermillion, number 7, along with Hunter Tipton, saved by Schmidt.
It's at 14 or 15.
And even when they're up by X amount, they continue to ride like the Dickens. Great hustle by Ryan Vermillion, a guy who doesn't get a ton of minutes, but he always makes everybody on his team a little bit better. Love the character of Ryan Vermillion. Shot inside, deflection, goal. Credit, I think, B.J. Burlace. I can't wait. Our folks in Invicta do such a nice job with the camera work. We'll find out if this was deflected or not.
No, it was a feed. The guy he's throwing the ball to right there was Big Nick Lilly. I don't think he caught it. Great defense by Calvert Hall, checking down on his stick. And it may have deflected back into that goal, Booker. It's tough to see.
It's tough to tell whether it's deflected at all, and they're going to give it to Burlace. Great chance to thank all of our brave servicemen and women who serve in the armed forces, protecting our freedoms every day, and they have more courage than I do.
Well, they're right on their number. We talked about it a second ago, that they are right on their number. They've been averaging 15-plus goals a game and giving up about 5, apparently. So there they are. This is their season.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell, right here.
This is me in a nutshell.
Stop the clock.
I got you to laugh. I don't believe it.
Oh,
I don't believe it. Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest day of my life. I could die a happy man. I got Bob Shriver to laugh.
How about Daniel Kelly, if you think about it?
On the air.
If you think about Daniel Kelly, that's probably the longest he's held the ball on his stick today.
Yeah.
You know, because he's usually got it in his stick for about a half a second and it's headed goalward.
Nothing wrong with being a catch and release guy.
Nothing wrong. You got to learn to get yourself in the right position. You got to have teammates that are willing to draw slides and throw the ball to the open man, and we certainly know that Calvert Hall will do that.
Schmidt comes up with a loose ball. And the Saints, with 6 minutes now remaining, fourth quarter. Ball skitters across the midfield line. B.J. Burlace gathers it and goes down. B.J., one of those kids who played on the Under Armour Underclass team, really stood out in that Under Armour tryout callback game. Earned his right onto the team. Probably being considered for that Wave 4. But we shall see. And here is Burlace. Wants to roll back for his right. Bounce pass.
Great play by Barwick. Sees Mitchell hustling up here this far side. He's left-handed, tries to stop and throw that ball back across his body. Mitchell couldn't get it in his right hand.
And here's Tominovic, wrestles with it momentarily. Proper turn, turns away from the pressure, and will have the clear for the Saints. B.J. Burlace truly reminds me of a young Tony Morgan, Big Mo T, one of the great St. Mary's athletes, along with Tom Dwyer, as Coach Vic Lilly wants to take a timeout with 4:52 to go here in the fourth. We will step away, but we got great closure coming up. It's all Calvert Hall right now.
Summer's here, and with a great deal on a new Toyota, you can do all the things that make the season so much fun. Like go biking, Mother's Day, glamping, graduations, Music festivals.
Motocross.
Zip lining.
Now lease an all-new RAV4 for just $199 a month. Or buy one with $1,250 Toyota finance cash. Or pick a versatile CHR with $1,500 cash back.
Your summer starts here.
Toyota, let's go places.
A shot of Brian Kelly. And Bob, I want you to know the attendance for tonight's game, 3,231 paid attendance. That's a high school lacrosse game, and we're getting 3,000. We got probably 40,000 people watching online.
The other thing you have to remember is St. Mary's is an Annapolis-based team. A lot of those people down there may have decided not to come up to the game.
They're watching.
You know, they could be watching. You know, the local teams traditionally, if they're in this game, will draw a few more, and that's just a product of distance.
Proximity.
Yeah, proximity.
And nearness and time, space, or matter.
Hey, Booker, we got an update on attendance tonight, 3,200 plus.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
there's a nice play by Hockenberry to come in and finish. St. Mary's Hockenberry coming around. Here you go, Bob. He likes the invert. You've talked about it. Little swim move. Goes low on Jackson Marshall.
Marshall's out of the game, Booker.
Excuse
Sorry.
me.
That's okay. In the goal, looks like 32. He's running away from us. Yeah, it's number 32, Luke Downs, sophomore.
Luke Downs in the game. We got more on the other side. We are back, Bob and I, talking about the level of success of this Calvert Hall team, and you can quantify success a lot of different ways. Mike Krzyzewski, who wrote a tremendous book called Leading with the Heart, talked about as a coach, you're not going to know how great this team is for 20 years. How many of these kids are going to go on to be productive adults, great husbands, great parents, not living in their parents' basement, but out doing things in the world to prove they're productive. And I say it all the time, Bob. Coaches are in the business of helping young men become the best possible version of themselves.
The one thing, you know, we've had the pleasure of doing is following so many of these kids as they go off to college, and then following so many of them as they become productive members of society here in Baltimore. Yep. So many lacrosse players are successful businessmen and financiers up in New York and San Francisco, Chicago. It's a pretty unique fraternity, this lacrosse fraternity. You get into this college scene now, and it's growing ever so slowly but steadily. You know, we've got a great pocket of lacrosse here in Baltimore, but this isn't the only place that plays great lacrosse.
Sure, and the expansion has been absolutely phenomenal to watch. And you look at what Inside Lacrosse did this year in their selections for the Under Armour All-American Senior Game. They're not every state, but so many different states represented. Here's B.J. Burley, shot goal, the Maverick. How you like me now when my pinky is valued over $300,000?
Well, two things. Give St. Mary's credit for still playing hard. They've made some of this happen against the substitutes that Coach Kelly's got in the game. That's okay. Coach Kelly's doing the right thing, giving his kids an opportunity to play that don't play much. He's got his third title in the bank, and he just wants to finish this game off, get that trophy under his arm.
Yep.
and move on to next year where he's going to go for 4 in a row.
Shot at 213s here on the near wing, Ryan Kempsky and Alex Wicks. As we get a new faceoff guy, Devin Alton, Fogo guy. Jeff Dillon chimed in, he plays on that Cooper's Club team. Here's Ian Krampf.
Well, let's give a shout out to Ham McPartland, who would normally be the third face-off guy for Calvert Hall.
Yep.
He got a brutal hit in the semifinal game the other day, was taken to the hospital, has a concussion, and he's been on the sidelines, not even dressed today, walking around in.
As we get a good look at Luke Downs. Krampf dodges right-handed, ducks a shoulder, draws a foul. Shot from his knees, and Hockenberry will collect the rebound. Souza winds and fires just wide. You know, I see that number 1 for St. Mary's, and I see a number 4 for St. Mary's. I'm reminded of number 4 for Calvert Hall, Michael McNelly. I talked about him earlier, blew out his knee for a second time this year. The Ohio State commit.
Now, they do come back with Kilcoyne, Barwick, and Bird are obviously part of their first-string defense. And here playing man down with Sasaki. Nice look. Ripley going for number 4.
Ripley letting it go.
Yeah, he's determined to go out well in this final game as a senior.
Yeah, and you talk about great teams. The 96 St. Mary's team
absolutely
was pretty darn good.
Booker in the, I call it the modern history of the MSA, MIAA. The modern history of this league, I think, was when the plastic stick evolved in 1972, 73, when everybody started using the plastic stick. That's the modern era, and in the modern era, only 6 teams in the MSA, MIAA history since that time have gone undefeated through a regular season and, you know, a non-conference schedule.
Shot at the Calvert Hall crowd. Bob, tell us more about those 6 teams. As I talk about one of my favorite undefeated teams, the Westminster Owls. Big game tomorrow against J.M. Bennett. Looking forward to them holding serve. But Bob, undefeated. You get St. Mary's 97 BL, 96 St. Mary's, sorry.
Well, you know, it sounds like
2014 BL.
I'm bringing up BL, but it goes back to 72. Calvert Hall was undefeated with Dick Adele at the helm.
Yeah.
And then St. Paul's went undefeated in 1991 or 2. St. Mary's, BL, and BL. So 6 teams, think about that. Now Calvert Hall, obviously, you know,
undefeated.
They lost. They're undefeated in the league, but they lost this year to Hill Academy. Well, is there any harm in that?
Yeah.
You know, it's one of the best programs. But that's a product of a lot of the schools in our league will play really tough non-conference schedules as well.
And that's what proves their mettle, as we see Brian Kelly and Joel Tinney, Tori Casemeyer giving some last-second instructions. There's their Calvert Hall fans. They are comfortable and happy. 3-time, and Lee Corrigan, look at him, throwing balls into the crowd, throwing down to the sideline. Look at him.
Great, that's going to hit some lady in the head, and all of a sudden the lawsuit's coming in.
Yeah. Look at with his binder in his back. And thank you, folks. I love it. That's my man. That is my kid's Uncle Lee Corrigan. Great to see him. Guy never stops working. And he really did create the Under Armour All-American event where there was none. He's a high school basketball player from Swarthmore High. The McDonald's All-American game is the premier high school showcase for basketball kids. He created it for lacrosse.
Schmidt staying in it with another save. He's up to 15 or 16. We got a flag down on the Saints. Calvert Hall go extra man. Coach Kelly's going to leave this group that's out on the field in the game.
There's a look at the foul and the save by Schmidt. 15 saves on the night for him. Pretty impressive.
Calvert Hall bringing in Stephen Ryan right now, senior. He's also the team videographer and seems to begin the bench really fired up.
You can hear the crowd behind him excited about it. My man Scotty McShane, I'm sure he's thrilled. Ryan Vermillion doing a nice job.
I got to give a shout out to my friend Pat Lavelle too. He's been giving me great stats all season long. He says we got another 45 shots again for Calvert Hall tonight. It just blows my mind how many times they just try it.
Dan, I went to the Georgetown-Yale NCAA game the other day. Yale won 33 out of 39 face-offs and took 49 shots. Georgetown lost 32 out of 39 face-offs and took 50 shots. And that's in a 60-minute game. Think about that. And Calvert Hall, they had 53 shots against Loyola the other night. There's 45 tonight and racking up number 3. What an impressive run.
And I got to tell you what, Brian Kelly's never felt better about getting the water poured over him, and now they have every right to celebrate. Coach Kelly runs a great program, and that'll do it. Your 3-time MIAA Conference champs. You thought it couldn't be done. The last time it happened was late 60s, early 70s by St. Paul's. Some happy young men in white.
The A Conference Championship game. Calvert Hall 15, St. Mary's 7. Congratulations to the Calvert Hall Cardinals, the 2019 A Conference champions. And the first to win 3 consecutive A Conference titles in the modern MIAA era. The presentation of the championship trophy coming up.
Final score 15-7. Calvert Hall proving they deserve to be considered among the best.
Absolutely. That'd be a great conversation.
Yeah.
You know, think about some of the teams, and I'll go back to 2007. Steele Stanwix,
Yeah.
the Tewarton Award winner, playing for Loyola, winning back-to-back titles.
In 07-08.
07-08.
All we need is Stephen A. Smith, and he can argue 96 against this 96 St. Mary's against this Calvert Hall team. He'll argue with you about who wins it, or 97 BL against this Calvert Hall team. But, ladies and gentlemen, this Calvert Hall team is as good as advertised.
I would say the only unfortunate thing is that Calvert Hall doesn't get a chance to play Hill at this point in the season, or St. Anthony's or Chaminade. I mean, the St. Anthony's team, they can match Calvert Hall toe-to-toe with talent. I saw them play 3 times in the last 3 weeks. They've got 14 Division I players. They got the best player in the junior class in the country, Brennan O'Neill, who scored 7 goals in a game the other night. They got a terrific face-off kid. Chaminade the same, you know, Brunswick, Salisbury in Connecticut. There's a lot of great high school teams. Calvert Hall is clearly one of them.
Right up there in that mix, and you and I will be on ESPNU doing the Geico High School Lacrosse Nationals. Thrilled to do that with you, Bob. Looking forward to it. We'll be back on the other side with more after this.
Summer's here, and with a great deal on a new Toyota, you can do all the things that make the season so much fun. Like go Vikings, Mother's Day, glamping, graduations, music festivals, motocross, zip lining!
Now lease an all-new RAV4 for just $199 a month. Or buy one with $1,250 Toyota finance cash. Or pick a versatile CHR with $1,500 cash back.
Your summer starts here.
Toyota, let's go places.
Calvert Hall proves that they are as good as advertised. We will have your MedStar Player of the Game interview. Dan Aburn will be meeting with Cole Herbert. Cole had just an impressive game. Let's get down onto the field. Dan, talk to us, brother.
What's up, Booker? I'm on the field with the player of the game, Cole Herbert. Cole, just tell me about your team's ability just to distribute tonight. It felt like you guys were so unselfish.
Yeah, we have one of the best offenses I've ever played with. Just doing a good job of getting us prepared every week. And we knew what we had to do, what sets we had to be in on every situation. And that's why you saw such good ball movement.
And it just feels like in terms of a national ranking, it feels like you guys dominated down the stretch. Do you feel like you had something to prove there?
Yeah, I mean, after the Hill loss, we knew we weren't gonna lose again. And I mean, we should have beat them. You know, anybody who stepped in front of us after that was not gonna succeed at all.
You guys have done something tonight that just it feels unprecedented, and that's win 3 MIAA titles in a row. How does that feel, man?
It's unlike any other feeling. You know, my team, we respect St. Mary's, and we just did a great job this year, as the other 2 years. But we had great leadership, and you know, it's just a complete team effort every week.
Cole, congratulations. Go celebrate.
Dan, nice job, my friend. Always good working alongside you. Let's take a look at the statistical analysis of tonight's game. Look at the assisted goals, the ground balls. Bob, this screams at you.
14 assists out of 15 goals. That's saying something. If you're getting 60 or 70% assistant goals, that's exceptional. That's, you know, I'm not a math whiz, but that's pushing 95%, obviously. That's an impressive stat. 30 ground balls, face-off, total domination there. Just the whole enchilada for the Cardinals. There's not much. What are you going to pick at?
Yep,
you know, what are you going to pick on?
Well, their man up was only 1 for 4.
They gave up 7 goals. They gave up 7.
And their man up was only 1 for 4. There they are. 3 championships in a row. You got some guys with some sunglasses. You got some guys over the legal limit on eye black. And here is Jack Sawyer.
There's a bad slide. Somebody slid off Truett Sunderland standing on the crease right to the eyes. Easy feed for Sawyer. This is Ripley about to thread a needle. This is an amazing shot, I think. Look at that. There's no angle there. Marshall's standing where he's supposed to. This is not a replay. This is another one from the same spot. 2 in a row over a span of about 1 minute there in that third quarter. And here's Herbert going to the goal with his second goal. Just another kind of slow dodge, that one.
Great shot of BK. and you see him a little bit shocked and now a little bit happy. Congratulations to Calvert Hall. Bob, I love doing these games with you, and you are such a great person to do it. Thank you so much to everybody involved. Congratulations, Calvert Hall. This is Mitchell.
What a matchup. Mitchell against Burlace.
Shot, goal. Great Abe Lincoln's mullet. Calvert Hall. This is Mitchell.
What a matchup. Mitchell against Burlace.
Shot, goal. Great Abe Lincoln's mullet. Calvert Hall. This is Mitchell.